You're listening to the episode of Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. This is the place we're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
All right. I'm echoing a little bit, but that's just me. It's time for our monthly grilling of the mayor. He looks forward to it every month.
Ooh, just can't wait to get here.
He's like, oh boy, I get to answer questions. Yay. But anyway, we're going to talk about what happened Saturday, because it seems like everything was going on once in our community. And I'm sure all went well. I saw all the reports. And I had Tiffany on yesterday, and her harvest moon lantern thing went really, really good. Also, we're going to talk about some infrastructure stuff. And are they really going to name that housing community East Renfro Fletcher Estates? Is that true, what I read? It's going to be Fletcher Hills. I get confused. I read, it's on interface. So
yeah, right.
If it's on Facebook, it's true. And no, it's not quite, but,
It's not at all. So, okay.
Okay. We're just make sure everybody out there understands that. It's not called Fletcher anything. Maybe you're saving that name for those apartments on Main. I don't know.
That wouldn't be a bullet, would it?
Yeah, I know. I talked to a couple other people in city business, and they're like, if you ever wanted to see their eyes cross and get a little steam, mention the depot on Main Street, and then that's all you need to do, right?
That's how it worked. Did you say the eyes crossed?
Well, I know. I'm just saying, if you are listening to this and not watching it, the mayor had an expression that revealed his true opinion. But anyway, before we jump into the deep stuff, let's talk about the sponsors, because they make all this possible. You can either credit them or blame me, one of the two. CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. It's behind Stone Soup and all those businesses there. It's a good place to go work out, a heavy-duty workout, so it's serious business. But they have trainers, they have programs, they have supervision, so it's not just go there and start throwing it around. You're going to have all sorts of things to help you with that. And we're sitting and get the Facebook thing worked up. Boy, this Facebook has just been a real pill the last couple of weeks. Isn't that true, Taylor?
Always.
What's the deal with them anyway?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, is he that jealous?
Yep.
You'd think.
Are you taking his numbers away?
I don't know. Yeah, well, maybe so. Maybe costing him $4 or $5 off his wealth, but who knows? I'm trying to get this thing to. There we go. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, now back to the ads. Shandy Stogsdill. The Stogsdill Group. We had her on last Thursday, and we were talking about real estate and all this. And you probably don't you get monthly reports on real estate values, taxable values, stuff like that? From the city, you do, I'm sure, get some kind of update of what's going on with taxable value in this town, right?
Yeah, there's actually a website that we can go to and see what's going on.
Yeah. For the first time in like 3+ years, the Zillow estimate of my house went down a couple of points. I mean, like 0.3%, but my house values, and as everybody else's around here has gone up, and I'm sure you hear all about it. But
it's going to change.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, do you get like economic forecasts in your position?
Personally, yeah. Some of the stuff that's going on right now is the fact that houses aren't moving like they were.
Yeah.
And interest rate, I heard, was at 7%.
Well, it could get that high, yes. And it's like right at 6 point something or other, getting close to 7, and it's supposed to bump it up again. In fact, in the later part of our conversation, I'm going to ask what's that doing to our bond issue, because it may affect it to some degree. But anyway, Stogsdill Group can help you get in a house in Burleson and the area, so give her a holler. Also, our buddy Otto at our place. Now, you were with our Sunday school group last about 10 days ago. How'd you think of it?
It's fun.
It's not too bad. We're going to make a Baptist out of you yet. You never know. You just got to learn to sing with the piano.
I know. The Texas Baptist men.
Yes.
Those guys really impressed me. Y'all hit it running, don't you?
Yes, we have a couple of gentlemen in our church that are part of that. And in fact, one of them, many years ago, went out of that business, and they're still dealing with Katrina 5-6 years later. My son went with them for like a 2-week building episode, what do you want to call it, a little trip down to New Orleans to help build some houses or, housing and help repair a couple of churches that were still damaged by Katrina, even well after the fact. So, yeah, have that going on. Then you're welcome to come down. We're going to do it at the end of this Thursday if you're welcome, if you enjoyed it. And because we don't really get political, except about Biden. You won't find a whole lot of friends of Biden on that table. I can tell you that. But it's mostly football and family and stuff, Anyway, thank you, Otto, at our place for providing such a place for us. Also, thank you to Wild Cigar and Culture. You're going to get yourself a smoke. We're going to make a cigar smoker out of you, too, sooner or later. No, not like you. I'm sure Miss Nancy
I don't know.
will mind.
I remember back in college, I used to smoke, what were they, Swisher Sweets?
Yeah.
That was a cool thing to do.
Yes, I remember. I hope my mother's not listening. I tried a few in high school, and they made me sick. But
they wasn't that great.
yeah, they were like, people looking, why don't you smoke a real cigar, kid? But anyway, and the thing about it, if you ever decided, this is the place to go because they have tobacconists there to help you find something that tailor it to whatever experience you're looking for, And these serious cigar smokers know what they're asking for. But anyway, it's over on the standard, so give them a holler. Also, thank you to Tiffany. She was on yesterday. Tiffany Nico now. I have to remember that. Tiffany Nico, Local Life Magazine, is coming up. Well, this month's already out. And so check out the Local Life TX and see what's going on. But we talked about her festival, the Harvest Moon Lantern Festival, and she was very, very pleased with how it turned out. And we talked a little bit about the fun of being newly married. How long have you been married?
40-something.
40-something. That's okay. Okay.
My wife is understanding. It's okay.
Okay,
we was married in 1979, and like in December 1st. So when you do this, you're kind of like, 79. Okay,
it's close enough,
It's close enough.
Just remember the date. I've been married 34 lovely years as of May 28th last year, so it's been one smooth ride, no problems. Anyway.
You're losing your credibility real quick.
Well, that's not hard to do. Southern Jim, I know your wife knows this place. My wife works there now. She's now retired from BISD.
Have they moved the store yet?
They're in the process, and it's. I hope Gayla has some hair left when this is done because she's certainly pulling at it because just, how it is with construction. They have to do some remodeling, whatever else. And, this piece is not available just yet, or these workers aren't available until Tuesday and that kind of stuff. And so whatever plans they made, they really want to be in before Thanksgiving. That might still happen, but it's still iffy. Yeah, but they still got their great stuff upstairs, but they won't have it done certainly by Christmas.
Oh, so
yeah. Well, yeah, she's got big plans for Christmas. In fact, she'll be on the show in about a month to talk about Christmas sales and whatever else. So that'll be lots of fun. And they're not kidding. When Robin went to work there, she comes home and says, I want this and I want that. I want this. So we're trying to make a little money here. Aren't we?
At least Robin points at it and Nancy just comes and says, look what I bought.
Well, that's because you got big pockets. Anyway.
Right.
Also, thank you to Michelle and Free at Hotworks. And over at 731, they have 11 different workouts. Varying not just in types, but intensity levels as well. So if you want to join in and have a different type of workout and you want to start off at a rather low level and you can move your way up and do it with an infrared system, it'll help maximize the workout. So give her a holler at 731. It's by Chicken Salad Chick, which is another place my wife enjoys. She had this someone out. Yeah, I know. It was when they came in town. I saw on Facebook all the ladies were like, "All right, for that time." Also, thank you to Melissa Harmon. This is my new insurance agent. She helped me save some money and helped me improve my life insurance, which my wife was a little bit too enthusiastic for me to up my amount of life insurance coverage. I have to wonder about that. But anyway, call Melissa at 682-804-0534, and she'll check out your insurance. And if she can help you, she will. And if she doesn't have better deals, she'll tell you. So Texas Farm Bureau, give her a holler. Also, we have Pinnacle Concepts. And I was mentioned to the mayor earlier, we're going to be redoing this room. Danette and Taylor are going to redecorate this room, and maybe by the next time you're here, we'll have a different format. A little bit more homey, a little bit more like Tonight Show, like Johnny Carson. Because you'll be in the chair. You already made that clear, not on the couch. So you'll be Johnny Carson. You'll run the show, and I'll answer the questions.
That'd be fun.
Well, I've had that happen. That would be. Maybe we ought to do that sometime.
Exposing Brad. That's the name of the show.
That's fine. And I'll say,
does your opinion really matter?
And I'll say, or I'll just say, I'm going to take after my mentor, the mayor, and not answer that question. Anyway, That's a cheap shot, huh?
Nah, I can handle it.
303-324-9906. I assume you were a pretty busy guy Saturday. You know, between Founders Day and all these other things going on.
Here, I had to go out of town. We had
Really?
a situation we had to do.
Oh.
Betty Bailey's probably not speaking to me right now.
Well, if it's a situation, you know, it's like...
But it was big. Cordell was talking about how great it was.
Well, it always is. I hope this situation wasn't, you know, serious enough.
No, we just had to take care of some stuff.
Well, things happen, and you know, same with me. But I understand it was really well. Burleson puts on good events.
Oh,
They really
I tell you, I'm scared to death to face Betty though.
Yeah, I would be too. But or Mary Slaney, I'm sure was there. Yeah, she's always there, the Queen of Burleson.
I just hope they don't hit me at the same time.
Well, if it, you know, things happen. But as far as events, you know, I talked about this with Tiffany yesterday. I put on stuff for the school when I was with BHS, like homecoming. And, you know, and I see all the chaos behind the scenes. And then when the parade starts or whatever, it's all good, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I see with these events. You know, I talk to the people that put them on and they're all stressing about these details. I tell them, hey, for the rest of us, it's a good time. Don't worry about it. And isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah, but, you know, stressing out over something to a level is good.
Yes.
You know, if you're not concerned about what your product's going to be at the end of the day, then maybe you don't need that job. Well, I'm telling you what, we had the National Night Out, went by and saw Cindy Park. We opened that one up, did a ribbon cutting. Man, they knocked that out of the park.
Oh, sure. Who puts on, like, Founders Day? Who does that?
Well, the city sponsors it.
Right.
But typically the Heritage Group, they put it all together and help. And I think there's another sponsor in there, too.
But somebody has to, you know, get the vendors and the events and the volunteers coordinated and all that. And I didn't know, does the city have, like, in essence, a party planner on staff or on payroll?
Economic Development does get-togethers. You know, they're in charge of the actual plaza. The parks, they do the concerts. And on Founders Day, I think it's kind of a group effort on that. I'm not sure.
Well, it just, you know, some communities do have these social event directors, but I don't know if we're big enough for that really. But we seem to have, if you really are paying attention, a lot of things going on in the city, at the Brick, at the library, at the parks, you know, at the baseball field. You know, it's not. And then, of course, you have the bands come play on in the summer nights. And they also have the cool sounds of fall coming, and Ben, they've been doing it. I really don't know a lot of communities that do as much publicly like this. I mean, now, I know I'm not part of Alvarado or Cleburne's community, but I don't see it even mentioned. I don't see it mentioned on internet at all. Whereas, you know, you look at Sarah Carlson's page, or you look at the city page, or you look at, I mean, there's like, if you want to, you could be busy 2-3 days out of the week.
Yeah, we got the Cool Sounds of Fall this Saturday.
Do you know who's playing?
Latino.
Okay.
I got Jaime from Fresco is going to be up there on the stage with me.
Is that right? Are you're into Latino music? That's good.
Well, I was into. I like really any kind of music that's done right.
Right. So. Well, you strike me as a Merle guy, Merle and Willie. Is that about right?
Well, I like them, but Aerosmith.
Oh, really? Okay, good for you.
Why is that so strange?
Well, because you're just from West Texas, and I figured, you know.
Acapella? I love acapella.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I just figured, you know, a small town West Texas guy grew up on, you know, Bob Wills and, you know, Lefty Frizzell, which I like. I mean, I listen to it.
I've been by Turkey, Texas several times.
Yeah. I just thought, you know, but you like Aerosmith. That's good.
I like it. I really do like it all. I really do if it's done right.
Yeah. Well, and then, of course, we had Tiffany's event, and she was very pleased with how it turned out, and she's going to do it again. And we got another one coming up in about 3 weeks. No. October 22nd. That's closer than we think. It's some a dog parade, pooch parade, you know. You might want to be a judge for that, you know. And then we'll see about that, huh? But then they have...
I'll be okay with it.
They have something like the pub crawl in March, and then they'll have something on July 4th. And, you know, we have a lot of these events in town, and I think that's a compliment to the city that they...
Staff does great.
Well, the staff does great, and the city makes itself available for it. And, you know, they participate and support it. Because when I go there, when I'm able to go to some of these city events, you have to look for a parking spot, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that we've really grown as a community for that. When I first got here, there was the 4th of July parade and high school stuff, homecoming, fireworks on the 4th. And then they started, before the plaza, they started having like this band shell, portable band shell, and they had a couple of bands, but it wasn't anything like we're looking at now. They had, see, I'm really having to stretch here to think about it. They had a Christmas parade. I remember that too. We still have that though.
Yes, we still have that.
Right.
That's where last year they lost the mayor.
Mm-hmm.
I was supposed to read Christmas Carol.
You lost it.
They lost me. I like to get out and walk and shake hands and stuff like that. And the parade at the bend turned right, and I stayed with the floats and didn't remember to stop at the plaza. And Andrea had lost the mayor, so
well,
it all worked out.
Yeah, I know. It's like I told Tiffany, she frets all these details, and I said, for us, we see the wedding, we see the party, we see what's going on, and if something blows up and doesn't go exactly as planned, well, this ain't Broadway. These aren't New York critics. That's
the character of some of these things.
Yeah.
So when something goes wrong, laugh it off and remember it and go on.
Well, and I learned that quite a bit, particularly with homecoming stuff. Is like, don't get all worked up about the little things. But
Life's too short.
Yeah, but I believe they had a parade for BHS Monday, which is unusual because we almost always did on Thursday.
Homecoming. Yeah. A homecoming parade.
But anyway, I was going to ask you more serious business about the bond issues.
Okay.
The rates are rising, as you know, that you mentioned before. And when we voted on the bonds back in May, they were at one point. Now they're significantly higher. Is that affecting the bond sales?
Oh, I'm sure it will. But you got to remember, too, the backside of that is the fact that when we go in and when interest rates like that go up, there's a reason. Typically, supply materials is going to go down. So what we're looking at in increase in percentage, our construction is going to be costing less. I wish we had all of our plans designed and completed right now, or I'd start building because products are going to start going down.
Well, let's hope so. I was wondering if that hurricane in Florida might affect the availability of raw materials.
To them.
To them?
To them. That's not the major port for us.
Well, actually, it's not even materials. It's also labor, because I was talking to a guy Sunday who's involved somewhat in the construction business, and they said a lot of Texas labor is booking it over to Florida because they can get more money.
Yeah.
And so that it may not be a matter of material needs, but it may be labor needs that. But what are you going to do about it? I mean,
well, the thing about it is, though, even if you don't have the labor, you can go ahead and lock in the materials.
Let's hope so.
We did that to the church where we went ahead and got our materials up front when the price was low.
So if if the prices of stuff go up because of that hurricane, we'll just blame you? Is that how?
Already? I don't know why. Why'd you have to ask?
Yes. How dare you not prevent that hurricane? It's like it's gotten cooler here, so it's going to advertise this cooler weather brought to you by the Chris Fletcher administration. But
right.
but people may not see all that. They need to understand that because that Florida hurricane is going to change economics.
They got a whole railroad, the whole bridge. So I don't know how long it's going to take to get that fixed, but they're saying that's the supply chain
right
to the tip is going to be the big issue.
And also, they still may go on strike. They voted on that yesterday, or at least one of the major unions did, and they turned it down. And so these kind of national events affect us here in Burleson, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, as far as a railroad strike, if they quit doing trains in the middle of Burleson and Crowley, I'm all on board with that because
I wouldn't cry over it.
I know, because
unless my new car or something's on it.
Okay, but as far as national events, I think some people don't understand that we're not in an isolated situation here.
We're not. Listen to what's going on now at the retail stores is now there's a glut of inventory. And they're saying that's the reason they've even pushed Christmas up even further because they're trying to unload inventory. So that's a good thing for buyers. but the housing market's going to go down a lot.
Now, but you mentioned you get economic reports. I mean, on real estate values, you get like an economic report for the Burson community as a whole.
I don't get reports. I'm out in the community visiting with realtors and stuff like that, and just knowing what's going on. We've got a couple of big projects, and those guys know what's going on. There's some of the projects are on hold right now because they can't get product. D.R. Horton is not turning shovels of dirt anymore right now. I saw a D.R. Horton tree service truck. They might be getting out of building. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. They're big enough to do whatever they want.
Absolutely.
We don't have any D.R. Hortons here, do we?
No.
Okay. That business out in East Renfro I was teasing about earlier. What's the name of that company that's doing all that building out in East Renfro?
Renfro.
That's 250 houses or whatever they are going to be.
Oh, I don't have any idea.
I don't either. I haven't even seen a sign yet.
I really don't know. I know we've got the gas station and restaurant going at Hearst and Renfro.
Yeah, I saw that. Is it a gas station and a restaurant, or
yes,
one and the same?
Yes, I think it's two buildings.
Okay. What kind of restaurant? Do you have any idea? See, I always find these things out late in the game because you ask Alex Phillips and you can forget about it. He won't tell you anything. Oh, well, we got things working, This is, he said, last time he was on the show, he said, I could tell you what's coming. We've got alley cats coming. I said, everybody in town knows that, Alex. I mean, oh, really? Well, okay,
Everybody knew about it when it's supposed to have been a secret.
Yeah, but...
people need to understand that not every site plan comes to council. If one of the things when we streamline the meetings is when the site plan comes in, if it meets all the guidelines and everything, it doesn't come to council. It's a rubber stamp. It's on.
Yeah. Well, one of our respondents talks about how there's empty shelves on Walmart and H-E-B. That's true. I went there Friday or Thursday night, and I was surprised. So the supply chains really are affecting your local stores. Talking about the shelves at H-E-B, I mean, it's like, wow. I know it was like 7 o'clock at night, so we're not talking about like.
Oh, they're still empty?
Yeah. Well, right now, I don't know, but they were Thursday night at 7 o'clock, which is not late night shopping, I wouldn't think.
I wonder what they're talking about on the news.
Oh, I read it in a national paper that it's a lot of gift type items and clothing, and so we're not talking about necessities as such, but we're talking about things that people buy for Christmas, electronics, things of that nature. And so there's like you may the day after Thanksgiving you may see some whopper sales. I bought a flat screen TV last Black Friday for about half of what normally would go for, and I bet you'll get that deal or better. So, as far as other retail establishments, let's see, in the last 3 or 4 months, we've had several open up. We've had Dutch Brothers, Swig. I guess you go by and visit or hear about these. I haven't been by them yet. Now, Taylor, you've been to Dutch Brothers, right?
I have.
Oh, the respondent's Matthew is in Florida. He says that. Well, that's true, but I was talking about here in Burleson. Some of the shelves are empty, but he's in Florida now.
Okay.
All right. So I see. Yeah, well, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, those people are struggling.
Well, my sister-in-law lives in Gainesville, and the storm was supposed to go right on top of them, and it missed them by about 20 miles. So they got a lot of rain, but not a lot of the heavy stuff. But she was telling my wife, that there are some shortages going on, and but fortunately they've been through this before, so they have a generator and stuff like that. So they were not without power, but they were prepared to be. But anyway, but these things affect us. When do you think you'll start seeing some actual construction built that's related to this bond that was passed 5 months ago?
On the bond, you borrow against it as you need it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already made some draws for engineering and design.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the deal that I remember when I was talking to the chamber, the city manager was hoping to have all this finished within 5 years. That's pretty aggressive.
Yes.
And we've got some projects that's already gotten the attention of TxDOT and stuff like that, like Renfro. Right.
You mentioned that last time about also the charging stations that they're going to ask you to put in.
Well, if it's going to take federal money, they're requiring charging stations.
Thank you,
to
Joe.
get the money.
Joe Biden again.
I'm not complaining.
I know you're not. By the way, I asked you about Dutch Brothers. Are they any good?
It's not bad.
That's not
It's
bad.
cheap.
It's cheap. Well,
Really?
that's good. That makes it better.
$4.75 for a iced mocha.
Okay.
I hear HTO is just tearing them up.
It is. He was on the show. The gentleman that runs it was we were with Cabrina 6 weeks ago when he brought some samples. My wife loved them. He brought a little quart samples of like blueberry tea and raspberry tea. Oh, my wife and my daughter just.
I thought it was just a
soaked it right
drive up. And Nancy took me up there and we walked through and there's got all these little sample stations all
Right.
over the place. Mm-hmm. Pretty cool.
It's kind of neat though. I mean, because you and I have been here long enough where, if you wanted tea, you drove through Chicken Express, and that kind of thing, right?
Get a half and half.
Half and half or a full suite, which is like the
Vibrating like a tuning fork.
or get diabetes before you leave the parking lot. But but we see all these things going up, and then another Taylor favorite's coming, that Torchy Tacos.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, those are good.
Really, you had them too?
Oh, the trailer park trash. Is that it, Taylor?
Yep.
Oh,
They got some fun names.
It's good.
Well, my
Best
son-
chips and queso
Yeah.
ever.
Well, my son took me to one in College Station when he was down there about 7 years ago, and that's my only experience with them. So I'll have to give him a holler. So, but
They're good, and you get your pretty well get your money's worth. They're pretty good size.
But now we have all these options, which we did not have. Back in the day, it was Pizza Hut or Pizza Inn.
You don't talk about Marion.
Oh, Marion was a friend. I haven't seen him in many, many years,
I hadn't either.
but Marion was a friend, and I had his daughters in classes, and they were wonderful young ladies. And but oh shoot, I spent a lot of time in that joint in that buffet.
We did too. We always took the kids when they played soccer. We'd always go up there and eat pizza.
We'd always make sure we were there before the fire department got there. I'd tell you that because they could blow up a buffet. And so, I'm not kidding you. I remember a couple of times I walked in, I saw the police or the fire department there, and he said, "Well, maybe next time," because we knew all we'd have left is the pineapple and jalapeno pizza left, and because they all cleared it off. But my kids loved it, and they had the video games and all that. See, I'm reminiscing a lot.
Well, you are.
Well, I'm in that reflective mood.
You're really upset about your life insurance, aren't you?
No, but I tell you what, though, dealing with not so much with Melissa and Texas Farm Bureau, but my former life insurance, it was kind of an issue. But that's beside the point.
Okay.
But anyway, as far as other pending city business, see anything on the agenda that's of note coming up?
Well, boring note, the RTC changed their bylaws to our favor.
RTC being?
The Regional Traffic Committee.
All right.
They're the ones that really pick the roads that get done. And Burleson didn't have representation, so the new bylaws will allow city elected officials to also have a shot at being on the board. I'd like to get Dan on there.
Well, yeah, sure. He's the experience for that. And you have Victoria on the
COG.
Yeah, on the COG there at
I'm
Council
on
of
the
Governments.
TRTC.
Wow.
So now we're getting a presence where when this stuff comes up, we have voices on there. And I've got a great group of mayors that I have lunch with about once a month, and they're helping on this.
Do you all have similar stories?
It's really neat. Well, one of Jeff Williams was the ex-mayor of Arlington. Mm-hmm. He has really given me a lot of insight on where Arlington has been, and he used the term demolishing.
Mm-hmm.
Under demolished, that's what it was.
Under demolished. Mm-hmm.
And they've got a lot of areas like that's needing to be cleaned up and stuff of that nature. And then you got Oscar Trevino that knows everybody and their dog out of North Richland Hills. Mm-hmm. He has been a huge help to me on learning how to do stuff and things of that nature. Michael Evans of Mansfield, he's a new mayor, but he's a mover and shaker. He's got a lot of things going over there too.
So this group of mayors is not just like Johnson County, but DFW.
No, but here's the deal that's going to happen with Johnson County and HUD. The RTC membership is in city clusters, which is a group of towns, or county clusters, which is two counties, which is Johnson County and Hood. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen now is the mayors of all the towns get to select who's on the RTC.
Well, good.
So we'll start. I've already been working with Scott Kane out of Cleveland, Mayor Kane. We've got Scott Kimberly's helping on it. Jason Wheat out of Alvarado. We're going to start working together to get our name out there on some of these projects. You know, Burleson's they're the front door to Johnson County.
Yes.
And that's going to get taken care of.
This kind of brings up a less enthusiastic subject, and we talked about this prior, so I think we need to address this. A lot of people like what's going on in this town.
I need a beer.
So do I. You know,
bring it up.
Yeah, okay. They like what's going on in this town. They want to serve this town in either elected or appointed capacity. Some of them, many of them, feel like they're putting themselves at risk reputationally by doing so because of some of the comments that have been made at city council meetings towards people that are getting on committees. What would you tell somebody who would come up to you and say, I'd like to serve, but I don't want to be handled in such a way that happened like last September?
Well, what happened on council was between individuals, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're planning on running or wanting to run for council, that's a different situation. If you want to run for council, you need to have a little bit of thick hide. It's just part of it. It doesn't, you know, I probably gained 5 pounds just from hide. Mm-hmm. It's just part of it. It doesn't have to be mean, but it depends on what race you're in and who you're running against. That's the issue on that. But if you can't take a little bit of heat, and I'm not referring about what happened on council, if you can't take criticism and stuff like that, maybe you don't need to run. Well, but that was not that bad. And let me tell you how you handle that, and I'm living it. If you feel the need to confront every dab of criticism you get, you don't need to run. You need to take your hits and move on and not be afraid to say, you know, I'm wrong on that one. Sorry.
That's true of a elected position. These were appointed positions. These were volunteers this happened to.
What were we talking about?
Bill Janish. You know, when he was appointed to I think it was a park zone, he was.
Well, that's the point I'm making, though, Brad, is he's not an elected official. You was talking about people wanting to run for.
Or serve. No, it was both. They wanted to serve on various boards.
This has not ever happened before, and I don't think it'll happen again.
Okay. How should I ask this? How
if you got to think that hard, maybe you shouldn't ask it.
No, I'm trying to go by, try not to be, provocative too much, but how is somebody going to be reassured that? How would you reassure somebody that this is not going to happen again?
I'm learning. Mm-hmm. I'm learning, and we're going to have conversations about it. I need to be more aggressive about shutting down attacks on citizens, but also you got to be real careful. I really lean on these other council members, all of them, because that's how we come up with the best decision. You've seen me several times ask questions of other council members, like on parks. I always go to Victoria, Dan, on roads and stuff of that nature. His knowledge of the history is really good. So it's important. When things start getting heated up, it's a real fine line of knowing when to shut everything off. And I haven't been good about it, but I'll change.
Well, I hope so. Because I know your heart. I know what you want. You want cooperation. You want to have the council work together. You have to work together, even if sometimes personalities conflict. I get all that. But a lot of people that just want to participate in a volunteer capacity, they're thinking, I don't want to have that happen to me. I mean, what happened was, basically Bill was called a threat to the community. And that his approval on the council would leave, may God have mercy on your souls, is what Jimmy said.
But you got to understand that was an isolated situation, and this is not this is not going to happen like this. Is there guarantees? No, there's not. I wish there was, but there's not any guarantees.
No,
even if they get started, then we go down a path of shutting mics off and doing this, and I don't want to do that. Unless I just have to, and I will.
Well, good. And then I'm glad to hear that. And I think the community will be glad to hear that because I understand what you're saying about being elected. Anybody that raises their hand to be elected, criticizing policies or criticizing approaches to issues is fair game. Hopefully it's done appropriately, but it's fair. But volunteers, though, their policy positions really, or their personalities shouldn't be that big an issue. And what I didn't really want to use names as such because,
don't.
all right, but well, I have more latitude than you do because I don't have to work with these people. But when somebody's being accused of something on the city council from the city council dais, that's pretty serious. That's not just that's an accusation that's in a public
civil.
venue. That's fine, but when you say civil, you mean it's not a criminal thing. Well,
that was not city business up there that was going on.
Right. That's exactly right. It's not city's business. And but to be put in a situation where your reputation's being impugned or that you're being accused of an activity that may result in, investigation.
And that's civil.
Or, well,
it is, Brad. That's between the entities that spoke. Now, here where I went wrong was not allowing Bill to talk. Okay, but that's what the recommendation was by the attorney.
Not allow Bill to talk?
Yeah, at the end.
Okay.
I don't remember his legal jargon that he explained. He apologized at the last meeting, saying he was wrong. That Amanda actually was right. So we're past that, and I've apologized to Bill about it, and good.
Well, I'm sure.
But he caught up on the next meeting.
Yes, I saw that too, and Tamara walked out on it, and that's, I guess, her privilege to do so. But I just when I saw it, I said, "My goodness!" I mean, they're not just saying he's not competent or whatever. They were saying he was a borderline criminal. That's what bothered me.
Bothered me too.
And I'm glad the city's not culpable for it. But you said it's personal. Well, they need to handle it personally, not in this forum, and maybe come to some sort of reconciliation. But I don't know if that's going to happen. That's not my business. I'm not a mediator, but they don't need to be working out their animosities and insecurities from the city council position.
I agree.
And I hope so. I know you do. We talked about this before. I mean, I should tell the audience that this was not a conversation point that was not agreed upon prior to the show. The mayor said that he would be willing to address it as best he could without diving too much into details that really have to remain private for various reasons. And so I'm trying to respect that.
I'm doing a very good job.
No, but I'm trying to avoid.
It's okay.
But you've had conversations, and I'm not going to divulge those.
And we're going to address it where we hopefully it won't happen again. But then again, individuals will do what they want to do.
Well,
and I'm not talking about these two individuals. I'm talking about anybody that gets on there. They can start up and be so quick about it that the damage is already done before you can stop anything.
Right. And then get into arguments like we saw. I mean, they got pretty heated between Ronnie and Jimmy on that last meeting, or at least the 19th. Yeah, it's not a good look. But no, you've told me some things that you can say as much as you want, but I wanted to respect our conversations and the conversations you've had. And you said you're going to have conversations with the people involved that this has to stop. And the citizens of Burleson need to know that they're not going to be subject to this, even if it's just between the council members about them. That's still pretty unpleasant. Now, you can't control what's said on Facebook. No one expects that. Some of these pages get pretty nasty, and that's nothing to do with you. But as far as what we see on the screen when we're watching a live stream of the city council meeting, gives some people pause about whether they really want to be involved with some city.
And I hate that. I really do. But this is all the points that this is about is very unique. So if you want to serve, do it. Because how many people do we have serving, and how many people have been singled out?
Very few. That have been singled out.
I would say one.
I don't know.
You know of anybody else?
Well,
the odds are in your favor that nobody's going to go after you.
I hope so. You're asking me if I know somebody else. I do know somebody else that felt very uncomfortable with it, but I really rather not say because I don't have their permission to say it.
Okay, so we got two people that's had a problem out of how many people?
Yeah, and as far as these personal conflicts, let's work them out privately. And if there is something to be worked out, then great. But what we see is we just see a great deal of animosity between council members, and that's unsettling.
I want to go ahead and say one other thing. I noticed that somebody was talking about removing them from council. You can't remove an elected official from council. The only way you can get those done is by a recall. Period.
Right, and I don't know if there's any mechanism for that. I don't know is this really to that point?
No, it's not.
Okay, I don't think so either. I think I'd like to give you and maybe the people not on council that are not involved with some of these things to have an opportunity to kind of make this better. Give you a chance to rectify it and whatnot. And you've already said you told me you had plans to
yes.
deal with this issue. I'm not going to ask you any more what that means because that's up to you. But that you're not unaware of it and that you're going to deal with it. I would not look forward to that if I were you, but that's not why I'm the mayor. You are. And you were right. I mean, you're right. This is not like unique in Burleson's history, but it's happening now, and that's all we're really worried about.
Well, we'll try to figure out a way to put an end to it.
I think you will. I really do, because at heart you're a conciliator. You're not exactly what I'd call a confrontational, hard-driving mayor. You do let people say their piece, and that's good 9 times out of 10. But sometimes people don't always respect boundaries that you've allowed them, and I think that's happened a couple times with Jimmy and Tamara. Is that they haven't respected the fact that you've given them latitude to say what they want.
Well, I wish it hadn't gone down that road.
I know. I'm sorry. It just did.
That's okay. I'm fine.
The criticism will be directed here, not to you. It'll be directed here. But that's kind of like we talk about having a tough hide. I've gotten a tough hide over the last couple of years on this. A lot of my shows are, nice little fluffy deals, businesses, nonprofits, and nice happy things, but not all of them.
And I tell you what, if anybody wants to talk to me further about it, email me with your phone number. I call.
That's true.
I call anybody that gives me the information. Tell me what you want to talk about. I won't avoid you.
Well, that's true, because I've contacted you before, and you called me within the day, which tells me you either have a lot of time on your hands or you must think I'm real important.
No, I just like to get it over with.
I've always heard that as a compliment, that you will respond. Maybe you'll have an answer that they might not want to hear, but you will respond.
Yes, and we work it out. Yeah. There's a lot of things in city government that people don't realize that's the way it is, and you don't have a whole lot of choice.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know what's going to happen this May, but I hope it's just the usual stuff and not the unusual stuff. I mean, there's always going to be some elbows thrown in an election. That's just the nature of the business. People talk about these elections that, back in the day, they were much more gentlemanly affairs. I'm like, what are you drinking? That didn't happen at all. They've always been a bit tough, but I think social media is an added element to it.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah, and it's also allowed things to go out into the public sphere that maybe you would say to a neighbor, but now everybody's heard you say it.
The misinformation of how things is done and stuff of that nature is really damaging, because when somebody speaks up, well, this is the way you do this and it's wrong, you've tainted the whole conversation. So, I would appreciate that before people speaks out of turn, they do a little research.
And it happens to me every now and then too. Not like you, obviously. You probably get a lot more public feedback, whether you like it or not. But occasionally I'll get somebody that'll challenge me on what I was saying about something or about somebody, and I'll say, here's where I'm basing it on. Please look at that before you make these kind of statements about me or what my show was about. Did you even listen? No. Well, then what are you talking to me for?
I like the ones that's not even living in the state.
Yeah, I get some of that. I don't get many of those that criticize me about Burleson stuff, maybe about, political stuff with Biden or the Congress or whatever. I don't get a lot of that either. I mean, I'm not going to tell you, I don't get anything probably like you would.
I really don't get that much.
Really? Okay, I figured it'd be.
Ever since I started talking to people over the phone, it's really eased up. Emails are are good discussions now, and yeah, I like it.
And
I actually enjoy it. I really do.
so we talked about this last time about the difficulties being mayor, and you said 95% of it you enjoy. This 5% right here.
I don't think I remember the 95%.
Well, right, you said most of it. I was trying
he put words in everybody's mouth.
No, I was trying. Oh, listen to him. I was trying to give you credit. Okay, 51% is what you really said.
Let me tell you something. I am honored to serve, and I'm meeting great people. You know, we've got a round table with Congressman Williams. I got two of them, in fact, tomorrow. One in Burleson and one in Mansfield. I've met some phenomenal people that just want to help people. So I really like this job. I am amazed. I was talked into doing it. But when you go to work and you have this group of individuals at City Hall that are just they're enjoying it. We got the new customer service board. Am I saying that? Department. There you go. That we're already starting to test the system where we have a 311 call instead of dialing it and then having to get this. And those calls that go to a department are tracked. So if they don't get answered or if they don't get done, I'll know about it. So this is a big deal that's going on, and it's going to be more efficient, and it'll be good for the employees and the whole thing.
Well, you know, I have some acquaintances that work for the city, and they seem to enjoy the job, and that often is a reflection of leadership. And you know, it's not that I ask them like, give me all the dirty details. They just say, no, things are fine. You know, we don't get a lot of heat from the mayor or anybody else, and so it's not like, you know, these events that we've been talking about are public events that are unpleasant, but it's not like the city's going to hell. I mean, we have a good city, and it's going in the right direction, and there's a lot of good things going on. It's just that these things could be a distraction or unpleasant, but they're not keeping us from doing what we want to do as a community. I've been pretty pleased the last few years about how we've grown. Added the plaza, added some of these retail and restaurant establishments.
I'll tell you what, past councils have done a good job on it.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to take that away from anybody.
Right, and I know it's because it's a building thing, but you know it's continued with your administration and all that. And so I'm not trying to, I don't want to imply it to the listener. I don't want to imply it to anybody that's trying to think I'm saying this. Things in Burleson are doing okay. They're doing fine in a lot of ways, but we still have to deal with some of these unpleasant situations that kind of break out occasionally in public. And it does give people, wait a minute, you know, who don't have access to information I do, who don't talk to you on a semi-regular basis. You know, I got an advantage over a lot of my listeners because I talk to y'all and the council members a whole lot more than probably they do. And so I understand what's going on behind the scenes better. But when they see this in public, that's what they're going by. And that's why I brought it up. And I know I pushed you pretty hard on it. I'm
okay.
You won't go home and, you know, cry on your pillow. All right.
Your sponsors are going to be mad because you hadn't talked about them in a while.
Well, we do them all at the beginning now.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yes, because so we don't get interrupted. A nice try, though. Good try. Did you see that, Taylor? He was trying to knock me right off the schedule.
Maybe I should play the outro music now.
Yeah.
Bob and wave.
Yeah, no. Last time I called you a politician, I thought you were going to jump across that table.
I will, too.
Make sure we're recording the cameras.
Yes.
I want a picture of it, too.
Yeah. Well,
I want to remember what I do.
Let me turn a couple more cameras on.
I don't know many judges that would convict you anyway, but I'd like to invite you Thursday morning, even though I kind of put you in a spot a little bit, you know, with the men for breakfast at Otto's.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if you can make it in your schedule. Because I think it's good not only just to reach out in the community, but just have contact with people that aren't try to explain their position to you or tug on your sleeve or say, we need to do this or whatever.
I got another group that I go to, another Bible study that I go to on Thursdays at 6 or 6:30.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Wow. You know, the Lord is 24/7. I never understood these early morning Bible
It's
studies.
a little rough. It's a little rough, but I got that on the same day y'all have yours, but you got every other Thursday.
Right.
And theirs is every Thursday. So I want to try to split that up.
Well, good. Well, surely you have memorized the Bible by now.
Nope.
Oh, neither have I.
I know some scriptures I need to learn.
Yeah, I know.
So.
Well, no, I think that part of your reputation is rock solid. That's never been ever impugned. regardless of what your position on the policy was or whatever. I never heard anybody criticize you about that, and that's a good thing.
I appreciate it.
And so, anyway, I'm going to give you the last word since I put words in people's mouths. Apparently, you get the last word.
I don't have it.
You don't have any last word?
I mean, we've talked about just about anything. I love the town. The people are phenomenal to me. I got City Hall is super. Our chiefs, Cordell and Freeman are both, and all those guys are going. I tell you what, that ambulance service we're bringing in is going to be phenomenal. It really is. I've had a lot of compliments on the firefighters and the way they handle the emergency calls and stuff of that nature.
Was that Victoria's issue, more or less, that she helped create that? Or am I?
She was against it.
Okay.
She was actually,
I'm sorry.
her and Ronnie.
Oops.
Sorry. Not Ronnie, Ricky.
Yeah.
Both of them were.
Sorry, Victoria, if you're listening.
Was kind of against it.
Well, she's going to be on next week.
But at the bottom end, they voted for it.
We talked about that last time Victoria was here, and she said that she come around and supported it after consensus and conversation. She'll be on next Tuesday.
Yeah, she supported it. After it's all said and done, okay. We supported it.
Maybe that's what I'm remembering is our conversation from her last show. Okay, good. Well, because I want her to get credit for maintaining an open mind about things. And I'd say, well, I voted no the first time, and I'm not going to change my mind. Apparently, she's able to assess the situation and the facts.
Good. She did fine. She did good.
Well, I think she's an outstanding council member, and she'll be on next Tuesday.
She's my parks guru.
Yeah. Well, she has those little kids that she takes them all these little events, so. Well, but anyway, I look forward to that. I have Ronnie and Ricky on in about 2.5 weeks, like very late October. That ought to be entertaining. Yep. I'd never met Rick.
Anytime you get Ronnie, that's entertaining.
True. I'd never met Rick personally. I mean, maybe shaking his hand at an event, but I never had a conversation with him. Rick Green is quiet? Okay, that's what I've been told. Ronnie, shy, retiring Ronnie Johnson, that ought to be entertaining. He might be, I might have to hose him down about halfway through the show. Say, calm down, But I'd like to let you say the last word, though, about make, a statement to those who want to serve. Please do.
We need quality people to come serve. Don't let this be the reason why you don't. It's not. I can't say it won't happen again. We'll try to stop it. But this is an isolated incident that I can't see happening again. If it does, I'll be better prepared.
Well, I do know that we talked, and you have. This is not something you're going to just dismiss, and that you will deal with it. And I'll let you describe that maybe in your next visit.
Maybe so.
Will there be a next visit, or you don't?
I don't know. You keep jacking with me.
That's what I'm saying.
Might be the last one.
Oh boy, listen to him.
On that note,
all right,
I'll be back.
I figured you would hit the outro music before he changes his mind. See you Thursday.